So I have these conservatory blinds and they're controlled by this controller, which you can either turn on all of them or just one at a time. Now, some of them work. This one here, that one works, up it goes. But when I turn on that one, the first two are supposed to go up, but that one's already stuck up. So when I press the down button, that one goes down, but you can see that one doesn't go down. Same goes for these next two. This one's stuck up, and you can see at the top that actually it's also a bit broken there as well. Oh, that one I'll stop, because it doesn't automatically stop either. These two work. Oh, that one works. There it goes. That one works fine. That one works fine. These two I've started to take apart because they weren't working at all, so I think there's something wrong with the motor, but that I need to check as well. They're all controlled by this box up here, this one here on the left. As you can see, I've taken a few bits apart. There it is, trying to work out what's going on. Let me stop that making a noise. So, plan is to fix them. We'll try. So after a bit of experimentation, I can see that these two now work. So with a little bit of low attention to safety, I've rigged everything up now. I think I can now. So they're both working, although clearly they're going the wrong way. So, some success. This blind, at least, is now working fully. Cleaned it as well, or rather my wife cleaned it. Superb job. So I just need to replace all the strings. If you can see, these bits of string here, they've got these little bits of loopy bits on them. And actually, this one here, they've actually got loops attached into the black piece of string. And you probably can't see it in there, but see these black bits of string here? Each one of these little white pieces is actually attached to a string. So I'm going to see if I can find some replacement string with these loops and also this black cable, and then I can restring them all. But I think this one here is actually working in perfect condition. So I took the top off one of them, and here it is. This one's only got 4, this is the small one at the end, it's only got 4 pairs of wires. But what's interesting is that I've got 4 guide wires. That's a wire, that's a wire, that's a wire, and that one's a wire. Oops, that one's a wire. But these others here are actually string. So here's the mechanism inside. So you can see this wire goes to spring tensioner, whereas this wire, the second wire, goes straight to this joint here. Same on the other side, whereas string 1 here goes to string 3, which is here. So string 1 and 3 are pairs, string 2 and 4 are pairs, and they go into the bottom here. Now I've drawn this out here. hopefully you can see that. And what I need to do is I need to order some wire, and which is 1 mil, and the string, which is 9.9 mil, and some crimps, which we can see here. So little crimps to crimp the wire. So I will get those ordered, and then hopefully I can replace the string on the first one. Meanwhile, at the motor end, we can see wire 1 here is connected to the second wire. So that just goes through here and doesn't actually enter into the engine area or the motor area. We can see that here on my diagram. We have wire 1 going through to wire 4, and then it's screwed in here, so that's adjustable for the height, so we can see the same is true there. So that sorts out the guide wires, so that's all good. Now the motor part. On these larger ones that I've taken down already, it's exactly the same, albeit we've got 6 pairs or 6 wires. 1, 2, and these are pairs, guide wire and string. This one, these 2 in the middle, single wires, but just guide wires. And then at the other end, obviously, we've got these pairs as well. So we have this pair here joining this one near the end, not the end one, and this one at the end going to the 5th one. So at the motor end, I can see that string number 1, which is this one here, which is this one here, comes out through this hole here. If I pull that. What's interesting though is if I pull the top of the string here, you would expect it to pull out there, but it doesn't, because clearly it is tied off in here, something that I didn't spot. So to access this bit at the top, I've just pulled out these end plugs, which are here. These just pull out, very straightforward. So I managed to prise the top off with a small screwdriver and then just my fingernail. What we can see here now is that string 1 ends in this spring thing here, whereas string 1 coming in string one coming in, which is here. Can you see that? That comes out. I'll have to look at that in a bit more detail. So string 1 coming in from the bottom just goes through this little thing at the bottom here, and it's just tied off. So here we can see string 1 that comes through the motor part up into the upper part of the blind. This is the blind, this bit here. Goes through here, underneath this little fixing thing, and it's just tied off with a knot. So when it's pulled tight, there's a small hole that it goes through here. String 1 going upwards also connects on here with this spring tensioner, and then goes up through here and up. So this is where the string ends. String 8 on this one, which is coming from the top here. The top goes through the header of the blind, and it's capped off in exactly the same way on this spring tensioner. Note how it actually goes through the guide, which I didn't mention on string 1, but it does the same. As you can see, there's only one string here, which is actually the guide wire, because this one has actually snapped, which is really why I'm starting this process in the first place, because one of the guide wire, the strings snapped. So in the motor chamber, see at the bottom here, we have the motor and these two spool things. The drive shaft here, some electronics here, which I'm not very interested in because the motor actually works. And as we can see at this end, there's no string coming in, which is my problem. So this string here is actually snapped. Whereas this string here, string 1, you may not be able to see it, but string 1 coming in here actually goes in onto this spool here. On the other side of these, there's some string guides that the string needs to pass through. And here's my diagram. I haven't plugged the string in yet. Next step. So I've just undone these small Allen keys, which is the spool for string 8. So this is string 3 in my diagram, which passes through the top, but also string 3 goes through the bottom, comes out just behind the motor here, pretty difficult to see, then passes behind the motor and connects to the spool, which connects to string 8. So I've removed the spool at the end, and this is string 3 here. And if I turn it over, I can see that string 3 comes through the front. Now these things have got a guide on the front, so the string passes through the guide at each end. Clearly this one's snapped. These do actually come apart. Don't know why, but they do. So I should be able to rewind those, I'm guessing with about 10 winds on each one. Sure which side to wind, so I don't get them going wrong when I put them back in. Wire 1 comes in this side, string 1 comes in this side, and string 6 exit this side. And we can see that out here. String 1 goes in at the front and string 6 comes out at the back, and at the other end we've got string 3 goes in at the front and out at the back. So having had a quick look at the problems that I have, I can see that the guide wires in all cases, we can't even see that, are actually fine. So here they are, they're all fine. So all I need to do is I just need to replace the string. And you can see there's one maybe hanging down here, broken string here. So the strings are perished, the guide wires seem fine, so that's great. So with my 7 blinds, each blind is 2.9 meters long and 1.4 meters wide. So I need 4.3 meters because you need one length and one width. 4 pieces of string, that's 17.2 meters per blind. 7 blinds, 120.4 meters. I shall probably add by 130 meters of string.